Walking with the dead man over my shoulder.
Aloha! This is Trinidad, the Island Man, your Island Man, coming to you live once again from the woods of Oahu here in Hawaii after watching Season 2 of Stranger Things, or Stranger Things 2. And let me just say, it was a wonderful thrill to go ahead and get this great show before Halloween. These two loved it. I loved it. Remember our rating scale. Shock a thumbs up. It's good to see. I recommend it. Shock a thumbs down. It's bad to see. It's junk. I don't recommend it. And of course, for Stranger Things 2, it is a strong shock a thumbs up. So remember, if you haven't seen from last year the first season of Stranger Things, it was a very good show. 8 episodes in total, so about 8 hours. You know, the average was about 45 minutes to 50 minutes for the shows. So you could get through them fairly quick on a weekend. And so a year later, the following Halloween, Stranger Things 2 has hit, and it is 1 year later that has taken place after Stranger Things 1. You find Will and the rest of the party, his friends, from school, you know, getting prepared and set for Halloween, and still not rid of the threat that they thought they were free of in part 1, and, you know, in season 1. And let me just say that, you know, it is a strong shock a thumbs up for this show, for this season. So make sure you catch it on Netflix. It is, you know, it dropped the weekend prior to Halloween, and that was the perfect time for this because it is a little bit scary, very mysterious and insightful, and you know, I loved every minute of the show. I thought, you know, like the first season, it started out slow, but this one, you know, right away you were in the action. By episode 2, everything had already gelled. Episode 3, you know, you get reintroduced to everybody. Plus, you know, just a sprinkling of new characters, 2 or 3, mainly 3. And of course, not all of them make it out alive. So this is definitely a strong show with consequences. You know, Sean Astin, Samwise Gamgee from the Hobbit movies, well, from the Lord of the Ring movies, you know, was in this, and he had a fantastic part. And, you know, he is definitely one of the heroes of the show, as everyone could not have survived without his help. Along with the new female character, giving Eleven some breathing room. You know, if I had to say anything about this, I'm not going to go into too many spoilers here, but I think I would have liked to see more Eleven in this. I mean, you know, more Eleven acting with the group and interacting with the group like we had in the first season, because their dynamic was so strong. But, you know, I can see where they wanted to take this, because this definitely sets it up into a 3rd season, maybe even outside of the town of Hawkins. As very much in the first episode, we are set in Chicago, away from Indiana, the town of Hawkins. You know, we find right away another girl with special abilities, again with a numbered tattoo. Number 8 is her name. And we assume, with 11 being the last, there must be, you know, 10 more children out there. So it's very interesting to go ahead and check this out and see what potentials they'll have in the future, as she does have, number 8 does have her own special abilities and powers, being able to cast illusions into people's minds. And she could cause not just one person, but a large group to see said illusions and believe it's real, even affecting Eleven herself. So that was very intriguing and interesting, as seeing that the others of powers possibly in the future, may not have any defense against the others, per se. So each one seems to have their special abilities. 11 being the last, definitely seems to have the most special abilities with psychokinesis, telekinesis, and some clairvoyance. And since I never did a, it was before my time when I started doing reviews that I saw season 1. And let me just get back into, the government experiments, studies on things like, things like clairvoyance and things like that, and psychic powers. That was a large thing of the 70s and early 60s. And, we just wanted to, say that this was definitely in that vein, as, we see the Department of Energy, or the, whatever this place was, studying and causing children to have powers. An interesting take on that, and an expansion of that. Again, basically, this was an homage, again, to not Steven Spielberg, but mainly, a little bit of Steven Spielberg, but mainly Stephen King. But like the first one was mainly Firestarter, and of course, mainly It. Now, with season 2, with It already out as a hit movie, they do make a little bit of homages. Sean Astin does his voice impersonation of Pennywise the Clown, and that was very interesting, to say the least. But in addition to that, we still get, we get another focus of the library, which, with the movie It, really sees how much Stephen King played a part in these movies. So much so, I think the Duffer Brothers moved a little bit away. In episode 1, the start of Halloween, you get some Michael Myers references from Halloween movie. There's a couple of scenes in the pumpkin patch that made it look like it was maybe Halloween 3, to say the least. Some references there with pumpkins and rotting pumpkins. The rest of the chapters, it was very alien-ish, especially leaning into Aliens 2. Definitely Aliens 2, as we even see Paul Reiser back, from Mad About You, the great comedian, but also his great role kind of returning as a corporate stooge per se, but he plays the new doctor in charge of the, the energy lab, where 11 had been kept, and they are having to deal with still the portal being open, still things trying to come through, and they cannot seem to shut the portal at all, or stop anything from coming through, other than trying to attempt to destroy it as soon as it comes through there in the lab. But as we find out later in this 9-episode series of season 2, they are unable to do so, as there is an entity actually controlling, these new demogorgons, or demidogs, as they are referred to, and thus an Aliens 3 reference, as these aliens, or these demogorgons, are more so like dogs or hounds in this one, as they were in Aliens 3. So, if you have any more thoughts on that, let me know, but that's how I felt. Definitely you see a lot of Aliens 2, even so much with Paul Reiser in a room staring at a radar screen, or, a sensor grid, showing all of these demogorgons or demidogs coming towards their location. You get the same beeping sound as in Aliens 2 when, they were converging on the room that they had set up their last stand in. And this was very much the same feel, the same sound for the radar. It was great. Brilliant. And even in the final battle, you had kind of a Aliens feel to it, as, Sheriff Hopper and 11 take on, the demogorgons, trying to stop them and close the portal, which seems to be the only way to stop things. Now, a slight spoiler at the end is that it is directly set up into a season 3. We see that main threat, that shadow monster, the Shadow King they call him, in this movie. There at the end of this movie, or at the end of the series in season 9, staring over, the representation of the school where the children are, in the Upside Down. And so it could definitely lead into that. When 11 is on her journey and she tracks down 8, possibly for help, that definitely opens it up, and it gives a lot of feel of like a X-Men, New Mutants kind of feel for the show. So they could go an entirely different direction in part 3, but I'm sure that we will see more people, more of the children with powers brought back once more, of those, all of the 11 maybe combined to take care of this threat once and for all. But definitely Netflix outdid themselves. The Duffer Brothers outdid themselves. Again, like I said, you get a New Mutant. Right now, you have The Gifted, and you get that same feel with these, with 11 and 8, as far as what they could do. Maybe even a little bit of the X-Men in there. 11 does her best representation or impersonation of Jean Grey, in the 9th episode of season 2. So it's definitely a sight to see, and it looks fabulous. So if they wanted to take it into a New Mutants, Gifted kind of direction for this show, it definitely, wouldn't be a miss. So yes, again, check out Stranger Things Part 2. It is a strong shock of thumbs up, especially for this Halloween season. And the box office overall was fairly weak this weekend, with only Jigsaw, which I wasn't going to see, being the main Halloween movie for the weekend. And of course it won the box office, but not by a large amount. No more than Medea or Happy Death Day, I believe. So definitely, I think the large part of people were sitting at home watching part 2 of Stranger Things 2 because it was a fabulous show. So you should definitely check it out. All right, thank you so much, and aloha.